You need to understand that you will also be the first to be enslaved if what we're talking about here turns out to be true. In that case, this will not be about what you can do, but what you will have to do whether you think you can or not. If you never protested before and if you were never an activist, should you start seeing the first signs of what I'm describing here, it will be the time to learn how to do it. That's how leaders and heroes are born. You will be the solution. The most effective form of resistance is collective disobedience. You simply say no. It means not complying with that which is damaging to you and your family's well-being. The power lies in mass disobedience when the harmful laws cannot be enforced. The response of those in power will let you know if you're dealing with a genuine tyranny. They will try to see how much they can get away with. It's important that your actions are immediate and aimed at those who can harm you, not at your collective. Remember that your response will be justified if your liberties and your future well-being is threatened, and these who want to take away your freedoms must be made aware that they will have to deal with the consequences of their anti-human agenda. Warn them. Make them aware that you would need to be reckoned with in times of manufactured crisis. Educating others and spreading awareness is a very important first step, but if it comes to this, you will need to be ready to leave your comfort zone to defend what is forcefully being taken away from you. Find like-minded people in your community and join forces. Learn to rely on each other. Educate others. Don't worry if it's only a few people. It only takes a tiny percentage of society to awaken the rest. This video is copyright free. If you want to show others what I have to say, you're free to share, edit, and upload this video to all of your social media accounts. I only ask that you include the same video description. All the necessary download links are available below. We're now planting thousands of seeds, and if it is necessary, they will grow into giant trees that will produce thousands more seeds. Only educated and informed public can identify and stop oppression disguised as a fake crisis. Don't be silent and don't let them silence you. Forget these who will laugh at you. They can't be saved. Be prepared to leave them behind. For some, ridicule and laughter may be the only coping mechanism for fear and inner terrors. Don't let the elite create a two-tiered society. Stop Hunger Games from becoming a reality. You have a long list of birth-given rights and you need to defend it. If your country has a constitution, it needs to be protected. No amendments, no exceptions, no compromises. Keep in mind that in time of liberty crisis, the elite and the government could be not your only problem. Those in control know what I know, that society is divided into a obedient majority and a small minority of logically thinking individuals. This minority is the only threat to them, and they know how powerful we are in getting people on our side. Society consists of those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who have no idea what just happened. In time of crisis, the clueless ones become dangerous, but the obedient and sleeping ones could turn on you defending their illusions too. Throughout the decades of infiltrating the educational system and the subversion of our culture and media, the elite managed to turn a big percentage of mentally unstable part of society against us and against themselves. They managed to make them anti-human, hating their own race, their own country, their history, their own culture and heritage, and hating people who try to awaken and save them. In times of crisis, you would not only have to fight these who want to control you, but also the ones who are morally and intellectually bankrupt and are so dependent on the system that they will defend it with a crazy conviction that you are the enemy. Read about the Milgram experiment on obedience to authority figures. I have a theory that we have a slave gene in our DNA because historically speaking, it always takes too many innocent people to die before society starts to revolt. Stalin, Mao, and Hitler killed tens of millions through simple changes in government policy. What they did was officially legal, which means that people are killed by being compliant. Regular people today can't even see the difference between tyranny and freedom, and they're suffering collectively from the worst case of Stockholm Syndrome possible. But remember that people who believe in the system and are addicted to it will come to you when it fails and when they're left with nothing. If a conflict takes place, it will be against us. It would be a battle for your mind waged against human harmony and unity, a battle against human progress and development. It's the 21st century. Think about what our grandparents expected from us and where we are now. What have we achieved? Do you see any jetpacks, any flying cars? Or do you see a birth of a new age of erosion of civil liberties and global slavery? Think of all your ancestors dying for you and your freedoms. It can't be for nothing, and it's your duty to honor their suffering and their sacrifices. If you want to understand what might be the goal of what is happening now, look at China. this might be the model they want to try implement in the world. Now that you've heard everything I had to say, you're responsible for our future. Moving forward, you choose the path of ignorance and indifference, or a path of resistance and saving our freedoms. It's your choice and you're making it now. You become responsible for what's about to happen, and you will have to explain yourself to your children and grandchildren. Of course, I might be wrong about all of this, but if I'm not, think if you would be willing to take the risk in the name of indifference. Whether you're a car mechanic or a billionaire, you have the same power of courage. By educating others and spreading the truth, you can start a chain reaction that might save our future. All it takes is one brave voice not afraid to oppose evil. Remember that if things get bad, you might want to avoid the battle, but the battle will not avoid you. You might be a digital soldier, you might be a real-life soldier, you might be both. Let's hope you won't have to find out. But if you'll have to, remember that you understanding the content of this video means you're a part of the group that will be the most affected should this attack on your liberties happen. Pay close attention when you hear the phrase, the new normal. This might be a conditioning process for you to accept tyranny, as there is nothing normal and nothing justified about what is happening now. There is only one definition of normal, and it's freedom. Also remember that the phrase, until it's safe, can translate to never. Look for these code words that are being repeated by every mainstream media outlet. They are subliminal messages preparing you for what might be coming. The more you hear them, the more you should question them. That's what propaganda mechanisms look like. The danger might be not what they want you to pay attention to. It might be what they're trying to make you not pay attention to. Beware of distractions. Look carefully at everything that is being censored and removed from social media and ask yourself why it's being censored and removed. If all of this turns out to be true, eventually they'll want to permanently take away your ability to protest by limiting your ability to gather. We can't let them do it. Everyone has been brainwashed on such a profound level that we don't realize anymore that we own our lives, our lands, our seas and oceans, our minds and our futures. In a bizarre twist of events, previous generations allowed for all of this to become the property of the government. Evil spreads through vacuum, through lack of resistance, by the moral failure of respecting the most basic human principles. Remember that we would not only need to fight the elite tyranny, but realistically speaking, we would also be facing our own dark side responsible for fear, greed, obedience, and compliance that allowed them to be in positions of power. Out of all the species on this planet, we're the only ones who hold the future in their hands. Now it is more true than ever. And this might be their endgame. It might be the last step in a decades-long plan, and we might be facing the point of no return. If it turns out that we're facing an evil puppet government and their masters with an anti-human agenda, this might be the beginning of a resistance movement that might have to fight in many battles, or even a war, and we need to do all in our power not to let it come to this. Fear and desperation quickly turn into hatred, and what happens next depends on how much we value our freedom. If those in power commit crimes, remember they're regular humans and they have names, faces, and physical addresses. They're not untouchable, although they like to feel like that. They can and should be brought to justice. If you're listening to it and you're a politician, a policeman, a member of armed forces, or if you work for mainstream media and you think you're protected or exempt from this, remember that when things get serious, you'll become the enemy of the people and they will remember you for as long as they live. Be very careful which side you choose, as your life could become very difficult and very scary. These in power have no loyalty and you mean nothing to them. And if you betray innocent people you were supposed to protect, there might be no place for you to hide when all of this starts. I've seen this in my country, and you need to understand that tyranny hardly ever works and never lasts. Good always wins and evil always crumbles under internal divisions, greed, and power struggles. Historically, it failed every single time, and this time wouldn't be any different. In fact, with all the technology and experience humankind has now at their disposal, it would be extremely difficult to pull off global tyranny. The sense of freedom is very important for us, and as long as we're human, we'll always defend it and fight for it. This has no chances of succeeding, and the only question is, what price would we need to pay to make them aware of this obvious truth? The more united we become and the closer we get to shifting the collective consciousness, the more pushback we'll experience from the evil forces who want to control us. All of this might be a test of your training in this existence. It might be why you're here. It will reveal what we're all made of. Some will go deeper into hiding, some will rise and discover their destiny. The line dividing good and evil does not go through political chambers, social structures, or TV studios. It runs through human hearts, mine and yours. If it comes to this, your sacrifices will never be forgotten by your children and grandchildren, and they will be proud of all you did for them. They need you, I need you, and the world needs you. Only people full of virtue are capable of accepting and enjoying freedom, and I hope you're one of them. Please share this video, and if you understand the gravity of our situation, make sure you stay safe and vigilant. I wish all of us good luck, and I hope that what I described here turns out to be nothing but a conspiracy theory. I also want to ask you to finance this channel through methods listed on the screen. Thank you for your support, and thank you for watching.